Organizers of the hunger protest are planning to launch a 1 million march on Saturday, being the 10th day of the End Bad Governance demonstration, which turned violent in many cities of northern Nigeria. Throughout the week, Nigeria
maybe like that I be big, but
commenced on August 1. But the alleged high-handedness of protesters by security operatives has dominated social discourse. However, Nigeria police said their officers acted professionally. Yes, they have acted professionally, and this is at a time when many Nigerians are also calling on investigation about the attitude of those who actually launched the protest, saying that the organizers of the protest did not also do their homework, thereby giving room for those with a ruling attitude to wreak havoc on private and public properties all over the country. And there are reports that the organizers of the protest did not also do their homework. And we are going to discuss this in more details today when we open the telephone line for you Nigerians to actually tell us what is your take on the attitude of security operatives, as well as the attitude of the promoters of the protest and the attitude of Nigerians who took to the streets. And in the studio here, I have Jubril Shittu, who is the executive director, Center for Private Development, right? Public and Private Development Center, PPDC. You are going to help us in actually putting some of these issues in context.
Thank you.
But before then, here are some tidbits. The chairman of Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Commission, Musa Aliyu, said Nigeria had an estimated 87 million cases of bribes amounting to 700 billion paid in 2023, with rural areas experiencing higher frequencies of bribery than urban areas. Speaking at an event organized by Ahmad Bello University's Faculty of Law, Aliyu, a senior advocate of Nigeria, noted that corruption is both a legal and social issue that requires a comprehensive approach. He cited recent Nigeria Bureau of Statistics survey where corruption ranked fourth among the country's most pressing problems in 2023 after cost of living, insecurity, and unemployment. And elsewhere, the governor of Oyo State, Seyi Makinde, has denied taking part in the 570 billion naira hardship grant claimed to have been given to states by the federal government. In a newsletter he personally signed and shared on his X handle on Thursday, Makinde said that the state was not in the know of such a grant. Makinde's denial comes on the heels of controversies that greeted the nationwide hunger and hardship protests. And former President Olusegun Obasanjo said Nigeria is sitting on a cake of gunpowder. The former Nigerian leader spoke on Friday at the Olusegun Obasanjo Presidential Library, Abeokuta, when he played host to 6 lawmakers from the House of Representatives. Speaking on the demands of the End Bad Governance protesters, Obasanjo said their demands were very legitimate, saying that the government should listen and hear their cry and stop deceiving the masses that all is well. And we'll take a short break. When we return, the conversation commences. Don't go away. Yes, welcome back. Jubril, once again, welcome to our studio. It's been a while.
Yes, it has.
And the protest, I hope you are safe, you and your family.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
I think that these are really trying times for all of us in the country. One must not forget that this protest has also claimed some lives. And I think there is the case of the 16-year-old who was murdered, and it's good to see that the Nigerian army has acknowledged the killing.
The one in Zaria.
Yes, the one in Zaria. And also, you know, the parents coming out to say we have not even received any compensation. So it's a period of hurting, it's a period of healing, And one just hopes that after this first phase, and we hope that the government, as the president has also come out to address the nation to say, look, I hear you,
yes,
and the buck stops at my table.
But here we have Olusegun Obasanjo saying we should stop deceiving Nigerians, saying that all is well. He's a bold person. He, talk to authorities. What is your take on what the president said? And this is on the eve of the 1 million man march,
yes,
being planned by the protesters, I think, to cap the 10th day of the protest, which we hope will be the last and a solution will be found.
We have insecurity in the Northwest. We have insecurity and terrorism in the Southeast. We have terrorism in the Northeast. We have almost 20 million out of school children. We have hunger in the land. Farmers are not able to go to their farms. We have more than 130 million Nigerians living below the poverty line. And one can only wonder, with the current economic situation, how much, of the population has further dropped below that poverty line. So if, former President Olusegun Obasanjo is talking about the issues, I think it's glaring for every Nigerian. And I think he's also talking about the states of play in terms of the reaction from the current administration to the issues at hand.
Yeah.
One does not see pending trouble looming in the marketplace and says, oh, let's continue to do business as usual. The government of the day is taking the situation as if it's business as usual.
All right, a big one. Then our first tidbit actually was on the 87. I was shocked when I saw the figures. 87 million cases of bribe amounting to over 700 billion naira in 2023. How did you react it when you saw this from the horse's mouth? Because it's from the ICPC boss that 87 million cases, even if you are to share it among Nigerians, meaning around 40 or 45% of the citizens have exchanged one issue relating to bribery and corruption.
The interesting part about that statistic is that lesser Nigerians have paid bribes. So it only makes you wonder how many more Nigerians in the past were paying bribes. And when you look at the statistics, people would rather pay bribes to facilitate the delivery of a service. So for instance, we saw what happened with the immigration, where if I want to get my passport, I pay almost double the usual amount to get my passport done. But since the automation of the process, we've seen how that has cut down the corruption. But let's still focus on the numbers. It shows us that something is fundamentally wrong with the country. We've gone to a new level of law, and this is just reflective of the opportunities that are there for the average Nigerian, but also the mindset. I grew up in this country knowing that you could have yourself drop your things in the market, someone pays for it, and nobody steals your things in the market. But that's not happening any longer. If you drop your things in the market, even if you have the things in your house, there is no guarantee that you still find them there.
Yes, somebody will try to.
It shows us that the country as we have it today, we need ethics instilled. We don't have that history being taught in schools.
Ethical reorientation.
Ethical orientation. What is the National Orientation Agency doing? What are our community leaders doing? They were quick to run to the president when the president called for people to not protest.
Yeah.
But we want to see a Nigeria where even our traditional rulers, our institutions, the gong that you saw in the marketplace in one of those videos, we want to see that situation where we are using the institutions that we have to sensitize and to reorientate ourselves. That what does it mean to have integrity as a Nigerian? There is a very popular song, African China. It says, poor man steals Maggi, they will show his face on crime fighters. Rich man steals money, they will not show his face on crime fighters.
Yeah.
Rich man steals money, he's only able to return a portion of the loot and he gets away with it. what are we teaching our younger ones? We saw the videos of the looting during the protests.
Yes.
But that speaks volumes about the orientation of the average Nigerian, where you see your leaders in power and someone says, oh, don't worry, go keep protesting, we'll continue to be eating.
You are now making reference to the, of course, Senate President. What about the backlash from people like Makinde, governor of Oyo State, even though PDP, but he said what the president announced while addressing the protesters across the country, after serious pressure. He said he's yet to see it, and he's not the only one. So who is actually deceiving who in the scheme of things now?
So one thing that it will interest Nigerians to know is that during the COVID-19 period, several governors across the 36 states spent money on infrastructure, on palliatives. And then the federal government took out a loan from the World Bank to reimburse these governors. So what Governor Seyi Makinde was saying was, this is not new money that was given to us.
Okay.
This is a reimbursement. And he mentioned the figures because in his newsletter, which he published on his Twitter platform shortly before he went on leave, he mentioned that they were giving 5.79 billion in one tranche and about 700 million in the other tranche. So what he's saying is that this is more or less a reimbursement. This is not a new palliative.
It's not a grant.
It's not a grant. It's not a new palliative measure. And the funny part is that this is a loan. So again, this fundamentally speaks to the philosophy around our spending and the prioritization for our national development. We are borrowing money to spend it on salaries. We are borrowing money to spend it on palliatives. We are not borrowing for infrastructure. We are not borrowing for our development. So where are we really going as a nation?
And this is coming just a few days after the governor of Gombe State. We also had governor of Adamawa State.
Yes.
Talking about the truck load of grains that they are yet to see it. And the federal government said that we have given this in order to cushion the effect of hunger so as to assuage the millions of protesters that took to the streets.
Yes, one thing I saw, especially from the president's speech, and when you look at the long speech, very good that he addressed the nation. But one thing I could clearly see is that the president had already he has given the directives, but the follow-up is not there. So what you see is, I've called for the CNG buses to be delivered. How many people have public transportation? CNG buses. I've directed that agriculture, we farm over 500,000 hectares. We are yet to see that. Of course, you can't farm where there is insecurity. So we continue to see, and the same thing with the palliative measures. Yes, the trucks were delivered, but we saw videos on social media where someone was complaining that, look at these bags of rice. I think it was in, I don't know if it was Kogi State, where, it's being repackaged.
Yes.
So there's that need. And I think that this is the message that was being passed by Dele Momodu to say, look, Mr. President, you are a true Democrat. But there is that risk of anarchy, and that's because of the people you might have surrounded yourself with. So please take a second look. If you've said that your ministers must deliver, we have clear performance issues. Look at the Olympics, where Nigeria is coming home without any gold, and you are having not one, not two issues of incompetence. We are having to rent a bike. The glory days are gone. And it's a shame. And we need to reflect inwards to start thinking about what our priorities are as a nation. How did we get this low? Where 87 million people are paying bribes, and where we are spending 20 billion on an Olympic event and not coming home with a single medal.
So many troubles. Now, the subject of discussion today, of course, is what do you think about the conduct of security personnel as well as the protesters? Should we start with the protesters or the security personnel before we open the line? I want to have your take, a point or two, then we can dwell on it much later into the program.
I'll start with the people, and that's, the protesters. Power belongs to the people, and that's guaranteed by Section 14, subsection 2B of the Constitution.
All right.
And again, we saw different groups come out. Initially, they weren't willing to come out, but eventually they came out. And one thing that Nigerians are clear about is that there are certain issues that they want government to address. So don't shoot the messenger. Address the issues.
All right, Jubril, I will crave your indulgence to hold your breath. We'll go on a short break, and then when we return, you will now give us your take on the security operatives. Viewers, we'll be back shortly. Welcome back. If you're just joining, this is Daily Politics on Trust TV. Do well to follow the conversation across our social platforms on Facebook, Instagram, and watch us live on YouTube. We still have in the studio the Chief Executive Officer, Public and Private Development Center, PPDC, Jubril Shittu. Once again, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
Yes, you gave your take on the unruly behavior of the protesters, but the bulk of the blame went the way of security operatives. Why do you think Nigerians were angry with the way some soldiers, police, civil defense, and all that conducted their work?
I think I'll still come back to the big picture, which is, as far as protests are concerned, we had at least in 20 out of 36 states, it was peaceful. But the narratives before the protests started was what Nigerians and what Nigerians remain, concerned about, which is we saw protesters being organized to protest against protests. We saw them being mobilized. We saw security agencies threatening to say, look, do not come out to protest. And then afterwards, when there was the pushback from some of the protest organizers, there was some concession on the part of the security agencies to say, okay, register, come out to protest, go to a designated spot. And I think it was Femi Falana that gave that analysis that before, Nigerians used to protest in the Freedom Park in Ojota and in the Unity Park, just close to Transcorp Hilton here in Abuja.
Here in Abuja, yes.
But the approach by security agencies to disperse them moved the protesters to the streets. And now we are beginning to tell the protesters, go back to these venues and protest peacefully. So I think that conversation around protest management is something that the security agencies in the aftermath of these protests need to reflect on and come to a conclusion about how Nigerians, in exercising their rights that is guaranteed by the Constitution, because the Constitution says that all of government derives its powers from the people. So there needs to be that conversation about when people truly express themselves, they need to be protected and not tormented.
All right, thank you with this soundbite. And viewers, it's time for you to call in using the telephone numbers that will be displayed on your screen to comment on these very important issues. What do you think about the conduct of security personnel and then the protesters? Of course, civil society organizations are calling for court-martial or something like that against security operatives. But who will call the unruly protesters? Who will actually take them to court? Who will discipline them? Over to you. We want to have your take. The phone number has been displayed on your screen. Yes. Now, Jubril.
Yes.
Are you worried that the promoters of this protest did not actually do their homework well?
I would first address the issue of the unruly protesters, and I think that that's a narrative that is being painted. When you look at those that are involved in protests, they are largely peaceful. We saw during the NSAS where thugs were organized to attack protesters. Criminals taking advantage of protests should be separated from those that are exercising their constitutionally guaranteed rights. If they are criminals engaging in vandalism, and we saw the security agencies and the statements saying, oh, we know those people that are trying to upturn the country, we know that there are some people trying to bring in military rule, of course that's condemnable. But one would have expected that the security agencies should have sprung into action. Because if they are criminals, and if you have evidence against these criminals, arrest them. Charge them to court. So we're not going to protect people that are taking the disguise of a peaceful protest to commit acts that are against the law. So the government should have been seen to act. But when it comes to the organizers of this protest, I think one of the general criticisms is that they did not come out to protest or to identify their leaders. Again, we've seen, because I'm talking about protest management.
All right, then before the management,
Yes.
let me, with you together, allow our first caller to have his say on the program. And he's Andy from Benue State. Andy, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Hamza.
Yes, we're happy to have you, and we hope you are safe.
Yes, I am safe.
Okay, and our topic of discussion, what do you think about the conduct of security personnel and then the protesters? Yes.
All right, thank you very much. So, I'll start with the protesters.
Okay.
The protesters actually came up and the plan was to have a peaceful protest. But again, it was hijacked by members of some of the protesters and, of course, other criminal elements. So that is really not acceptable. I condemn that entirely. On the other hand, the security personnel demonstrated unprofessionalism in carrying out their duties. I mean, it was clearly the body language of the government, maybe the government of the day, to facilitate this and enhance that security personnel will violate the rights of protesters. In as much as it was violent, we believe that professionally security personnel should be able to address issues of peaceful protest degenerating into violent protest in a professional manner to avoid killings. So it was really, really bad pandemic.
Okay, what do you think is the way forward now?
Yeah, so the way forward is that I think in Nigeria we have a junior president where someone will condemn an act when he or she is not favored by that act, and then when he or she is in throne, then that act becomes a good one. So it's really a change of mindset. We really need to be, this absence of the spirit of patriotism in our people, and this has been leading to this.
All right.
So we really need to have a realization of our personality and culture.
Okay. And finally, before you go, Andy, what is your take about the planned 1 million man march for tomorrow, Saturday? Do you think it should go on, or we should just be patient and remain in our houses?
I am really in support of that. I mean, it should go on. I support that wholeheartedly.
Okay. You have a reason for that?
Yeah, I mean, so far, we've discovered the government has ended up in freezing the accounts of the sponsors and all of that. I mean, the whole thing has not yielded any much positive with the agriculture. And so if a medium protest or march is going to come up tomorrow, I think it should. But again, the security should double their efforts to ensure that they violate people's rights.
All right, thank you very much, Andy. We hope to have you some other time. Yes.
It's all right. Okay.
Yes, Andy raised three fundamental issues: the unprofessional conduct by security operatives, the lack of patriotism on the side of some of the protesters, and then he's in support of Nigerians who go into the street tomorrow. You think Nigerians should go out?
I would like to address patriotism, and I think that would answer the other two questions.
Okay.
Because again, when we talk about the 87 million Nigerians paying bribes, we need a soul searching. As a country, we need to define for ourselves, especially now that we're talking about the local government autonomy. We should start that conversation from our families, from our communities, about the type of country we would like to see, and we should begin to test the instruments that are available in our constitution: the power of recall, the power of suing people to court, and of course the power of peaceful protests and engagement. Now that the president has said, let's set up a committee to look at the voice and the yearnings of those that are protesting. We need that soul searching as a nation. We need to define for ourselves. Yes, we had the national confab in 2014, and then the recommendations that came out of that. We've had the Orosai report for a very long time, and the recommendations that came out of that. So a true patriot should be considering what's best for my country, whether I'm a security agent, or I'm a protester, or I'm just an average citizen, or someone in government. Because if we have the mind of a patriot, we wouldn't be attacking protesters that are exercising their constitutional rights. The protesters wouldn't allow, themselves, to allow some elements. So
Yes.
if they see those elements, they are pointing them out to say, look, this particular person among us is a vandal.
And I think this is basically why
Yes.
those in authority, both security and political offices, they were wary, and they don't want the protest to happen, because going by our nature, some people will seize it. Now, the story we have in our paper today is about the colossal losses suffered
Yes,
across, especially in the north. Look at in Kano.
Yes.
One businessman lost over 5 billion.
Over 5 billion, yes.
Yes, a number of them, and it was inexhaustive. So, and is protest actually a way out of what is happening? Because many are saying people should remain at home tomorrow, not to go out, because what we witnessed in the last 9 days is not really palatable.
It's very sad, and which is why I really appeal to the security agencies. Please, we've seen the reports from the day one of the protests and how the level of violence reduced when the nature of the engagement between the security operatives and the protesters changed. And I think that that's very important as a lesson for us, which is, if people are exercising their rights, if you react with a heavy hand and you say we are a constitutional democracy, people will push back.
And there will be.
Yes.
All right, we have Sunday again from Benue State. Welcome to the program, Sunday.
It's Tony, not Sunday.
Hello?
Sorry, I did not hear the name.
It's Tony, not
It's
Sunday.
Tony Ede.
Okay. You are welcome to the program, and we hope you are safe.
Thank
You are safe wherever you are. Yes.
Thank you so much.
So we want to have your take. Where should we take the blame? Security operatives or the protesters?
Not the protester.
Okay.
I will give you a reason.
Okay, go ahead.
During this protest, in fact, I'm on thank the media. Then when I make an announcement, they are both television, both the radio station, both the newspaper, both to them. Because without them, there is no way we can understand what is happening. But they give us input of what is happening on the ground. The truth of the matter is that if Nigeria security has done their work, just as the television and radio stations they have done their own, process will be excellent. But the security agency, they are on the side of government, and that is the truth of the woman. And say that the security agency, they are against the people that are doing the protest. And I don't know the reason they will do us by doing journalists like that. I don't know the reason. If we have bad people that are not doing any protest, how can in what stage are they going to put journalists that have identity, that have a clear of what they are doing? The people we have security agencies.
All right.
They are on the side of government.
All right. Thank you very much for calling. We have to have you some other time. Yes. Of course, the line is really...
Yes, it's shaky, but at least we're able to take some of the points.
His points. Yes, over to you.
Yes, and yes, of course, Prince Tony Ede is on point from Benue State. And what he's saying, again, I'm sure you've seen the footage of the attack on the journalist.
Yes.
But it did not start today, and I think that would answer the question as to whether protests, whether people should be protesting. You've seen the cases of Daniel Ojukwu that was arrested in Lagos and brought to Abuja, and that was because he was publishing information about a school that was supposed to be built in a particular location that was taken to another location. So this is a journalist trying to contribute to governance and transparency, and then he's been, manhandled. So, of course, we've seen the level of insensitivity displayed at different levels of government. The executive, the legislature, the judiciary. And we've seen the humongous amounts, billion. For you to spend 1 billion, I think it was Budget that did the analysis. It takes you more than a year. More than 1 year and 6 months if you are spending 1 million per day. So spend 1 billion. So again, when we're talking about the insensitivity, we are saying that those that are in government, it's not about reducing your salaries when we know that there are big allowances. It's about looking at the cost of governance. We have 47 ministers. We had insecurity issues in the Niger Delta. We had a development commission.
But the problem is still there.
The problem is still there, and the money has been looted. If you look at the billions that are going into the Niger Delta Development Commission and the mismanagement.
So some of these factors are the reason behind the protest.
Yes.
Now, what is the motivation or demotivation behind the attitude of security operatives? Is it that some of them are venting their anger and their frustration on the helpless masses, or fundamentally you think they were directed to clamp down on people? Of course, we have a caller, Abdul Karim Santraki. Maybe we'll pick him and then come back to you to answer this. Welcome to the program, Mr. Abdul Karim.
Thank you very much.
Yes, we're happy to have you, and the floor is yours.
This issue of violence and engagement. The police commandant looks as if they are at the site of any provocation. They are looking for reason to use arms. Every element of social disorder, like a rule of engagement. And up to today, I have not had the Inspector General of Police coming out to press, despite so many clips, including one I saw, a military officer warning a policeman about shooting civilians. I have not had the Inspector General of Police coming to address the issue of rule of engagement. Questioning the police officers how they are attacking these protesters. These people are coming out to exercise their rights. There's a way you handle this. You cannot expect a situation where there will be a mass movement and then some people might not come out to make some visit. And the duty of the police is to even protect the lives of properties. So it is not only about the protesters. Why are you following the protesters? People have told you they are being peaceful. They are not doing anything. You said you have information about people who are want to hijack this. Go after them.
Okay, Abdul Karim. Thank you very much. What is your take on the planned 1 million man march tomorrow?
I don't see anything wrong with that. These things have happened so many times in this country. During Abacha, there was 1 million. There are so many of them. So what is this? Is besides, these people have come out for almost 9 days. The president did not even address the issue of what they are demanding. Nobody even considered the demands of the protesters. So
all right, that was Abdul Karim. Yes. All right, thank you very much, Mala Abdul Karim Santraki, for your take on the issues. He too raised 3 or 4 issues over zealousness to use arms, even when it is not ripe.
Yes.
And the issue of rule of engagement.
Yes.
And then that we have trigger-happy policemen that just vent their anger. Why are we having this? Because ordinarily, if you are psychologically, disposed and you know the value of life and you would not like to waste it, don't you think we should start thinking about the psychological disposition of our security operatives?
I think that we still reflect, in terms of our security apparatus, that we're still largely under, how will I put it, a rule-based order or an authoritative, scenario where it's do this, go here, go there, which is where the orientation
obey the command,
obey the command, before complaining. But this is a democracy. But when you look at the protests and even the security agencies that were involved, under normal circumstances, you shouldn't even have the military getting themselves involved in this. But Nigeria, the dynamic nature of our country, especially at this point in time, where we are facing record level insecurity in certain parts of the country, where we have active military presence in more than 33 states, and we've seen the posture of the military and the level of discipline. And, Malam Abdul Karim, I hope I got his name right.
Yes, Abdul Karim Santosh, yes.
He talked about the video, and I don't know how many people saw that video, of a military officer asking a police, officer or a commander to move behind the military buffer and to stop engaging the protesters. So what happened in that particular scenario is that the police were already tear-gassing the protesters, and the military officers stepped in to intervene to say, look, you are going to escalate. Yes. So what we see is, and I've made reference to protest management.
Yeah.
If you're having protesters, we saw what happened in Lagos, where the commissioner of police came out to address the protesters and said, I'm here with you. We saw what happened in other states where the police were working with the protesters.
I'm good to hear this because it's a sign of civility in some scenarios.
So we need to get to that level.
All right, we have another caller in the person of Mohammed Lawal from Kasena. Welcome to the program, Mohammed.
How are you, Hamza?
Alhamdulillah.
I'm hearing.
Yes, Jubril is also
I'm
fine.
speaking from Kasena, Mohammed Lawal.
Yes, you are welcome.
My take-up is that, my take-up is that if you observe from beginning, before the protesters, the government and the official of government, well, especially the security, they had been announcing that the protesters will be hijacked several times. Even here in the front, I have been hearing. So all along, when the protesting is taking off, so that we accept those that say the protesters will be hijacked, they may do some other anti-protesters, so that to prove what they have been saying. This is my take-up. And if you observe in Plateau, it has taken 3 days, peaceful protesters. But only thing what happened in the 4th day, then the protest has been hijacked and the curfew has been imposed in the state, which is very embarrassing. So everybody sees this. So if somebody is saying that he has been given the announcement that he's going to protest peacefully, and somebody is saying that the protest will be hijacked. So to me, actually, there must be somebody anti-protest that makes the protesting to be hijacked so that to prove what he was saying before the protesters. So actually, to me, all the protests taking place throughout the nation is peaceful. It's only thing that some people have been hired to make it anti-protest. So this is my take-off. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mohammed. He has gone back to your earlier statement when you said while the protest was being planned, the clamor for another protest against protest started emerging. Meaning that where should we take this blame to? Overzealous government officials?
I would say messaging. And we've seen, even the recent statements from the special advisor to the president, Bayo Onanuga, where he was talking about the second video that surfaced online that was tweeted by one of the presidential aides.
Ortega,
Yes. And one wonders, Nigerians don't really care about whether two people are not agreeing with each other. What we want is governance. So keep your issues internally. Communicate to Nigerians in a straightforward manner and let Nigerians feel the true dividends of democracy. Don't threaten Nigerians. Don't say, oh, don't come out to protest. If there are subversive elements, address the subversion. So I think that the lessons that we can learn from this episode, there are many.
Going forward. Okay, we have a caller all the way from Lagos in the person of Mr. Way. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yes.
Something in this country, we need to look at our culture and our tradition and the way we behave. There is no protest in this country that will go peaceful. We should know that. There will be some set of people that want to destroy people's buildings, that want to hide under the canopy of the protest to cause havoc in any place. And they may not be hired. There are some boys in the streets. They are begging for things like that to happen so that they'll be able to loot. And then for those people that their warehouses have been looted, if you now ask them whether they should continue with protest, will they say yes? They will not. We are out and we're in our homes, but we don't know what is happening. We are blaming the security officer, but we don't know the reaction because security officers are trained to know your movement, to know your characteristics, the way you behave, and then they can easily spot that if you allow you to go that way, things will go wrong. That's why sometimes they bring violence, they bring tear gas. There's nobody that hires anybody to go and or push any security officers to go and do anything ugly. But what I want to say is that there is no need for us to go on any million-man march. We should engage the government with dialogue. Okay. And that is the way out. We are expressing our anger. This time is to come to the table of the government. Because look at the protest that has been happening, that there is nobody that can say, I am the leader. It's very dangerous. It's too legal. And people can do anything.
All right.
People can do anything. I want to say that, please, there should be no thing like man march. We should engage the government and let the government put the finances on the table and let the government look at it and give them timeline to see what will happen. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And we are inching closer.
Yes, I didn't get the name of the last caller.
Yes, it's Mr. Way.
Mr. Way. Oh.
Yes.
Thank you,
and
Mr.
he
Way.
said there was never a protest that was peaceful in Nigeria, and he feels that dialogue is the way forward. And I think the protesters have been heard loud and clear
By
for
the
9
president,
days
yes.
running. So
Yes.
will tomorrow make any difference?
Well, again, I still talk about the messaging.
Yes.
The president is the father of the nation.
So
and we
he
can't take
should
that.
talk to Nigerians again.
He has already spoken.
But
And
some
he already
say
mentioned
that
that-
it wasn't convincing.
Well, again, the president might focus on the broad issues. The president should speak more to the media. And again, maybe that's a lesson from this episode.
Okay, then let me have your take on how security operatives should behave.
Yes, but before I go
in
there,
the
yes.
event that the protest will
Yes,
happen.
but before I go there, why I emphasize messaging is the president had talked about a peace committee being set up.
Yes.
I'm sure if there was an announcement to say, dear protesters, these are the people you should engage. We've not seen that communication.
Okay, maybe he will do that.
We've not seen that
And
communication.
you have less than 1 minute now. Okay, then
Yes.
how should security operatives behave? How should protesters behave?
I
In the
really
event
want
it
to
must
appeal
happen?
to the protesters,
Yeah.
and I agree with Woye that, again, nobody wants to see their son or daughter die
Yeah.
as a result of the protest. Those that have had their warehouses looted, nobody wants to see that. So we want to appeal to the protesters that, please, the designated locations where the protests, have been this past few days,
should respect those places.
let's be there. And for the security agencies, please and please, work with the protesters. It's just one day. We don't want it to turn to a month. We don't want it to turn to 3 months. So let's manage tomorrow. If people are willing to exercise their constitutional rights, let's encourage each other to go through that day without any rancor. We've had 20 out of 36 states.
Okay.
Hopefully we can have 34 out of 36 states, or even 36 out of 36 states that peaceful protest will take place tomorrow.
All right, thank you. Jubril Shittu, Chief Executive Officer, Public and Private Development Center.
Thank you very much.
For coming to the program and for helping us put perspective to all the issues raised. We have to have you some other time.
Thank you very much.
And we also thank all those who succeeded in calling in and for their contributions. For those who made attempt but could not get to us, we hope you get the opportunity next week. Remain civil, respect the rule of engagement, and let's keep Nigeria one. And that's a wrap on today's package. We hope you found the conversation engaging and informative. And be sure to join Daily Politics, airing every weekday, and our special package on Friday, during which we open a telephone line for you to comment on national issues as we did today. Next week, we hope it will be also entertaining. Bye-bye for now. I'm Hamza Idris.